Good morning, everyone. How many of you have ever been in a situation where you're talking to a woman, maybe a coworker, a classmate, a friend, and you get this feeling, this little spark of a hint that maybe, just maybe, she's interested in you. But when you try to look for the obvious signs, nothing. She's cool, she's collected, almost a little too casual. It's confusing, right? You stir left wondering, is it just me? Am I reading into things? Well, today we're going to demystify that. We're talking about the subtle signs a woman likes you, but is trying very hard not to show it. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding the often unspoken language of attraction and the psychology behind why she might be hiding it. Let's call this what it is: the art of the casual. Women, for a multitude of reasons, fear of rejection, not wanting to seem too eager, past experiences, or simply playing it safe, often become masters of disguise when it comes to their feelings. They've perfected the art of showing interest while pretending not to. So, we need to become astute observers not of what is said, but of what is done. Here, sits what to look for. First, the eyes. The windows to the soul, and her interest. They say you can't control your pupils. When we're attracted to someone, our pupils dilate to let in more of them. It's a biological response. So watch her eyes. Is she making brief but intense eye contact across the room, only to quickly look away when you notice? That's the look and dart. She's stealing a moment of connection, but is too shy or cautious to hold it. And then there's the lowered gaze. You catch her looking at you. She smiles and looks down at her feet or her drink before looking back up. That downward glance is a classic, almost universal sign of shyness and attraction. It's a non-verbal cue that says, you caught me, and I'm a little vulnerable right now. Second, the proximity principle. A woman who is interested will find a reason to be near you, even if she seems casual about it. She might not sit right next to you, but she'll be in your general orbit. Does she happen to be at the same coffee shop? Does she linger near your desk at the end of the day with a question she could have asked hours ago? Does she stand just a little bit closer to you than she does to others in a group? We gravitate towards what we like. If she's consistently finding ways to share your space, even while playing it cool, her subconscious is doing the talking. Third, the micro-engagement. She's trying not to show it, so she won't bombard you with texts. Instead, she'll create small, seemingly low-stakes opportunities for interaction. She might react to your Instagram story from 3 days ago. She might send you a funny meme that reminded her of a conversation you had. It's a digital poke that says, I'm thinking about you, without the risk of a full conversation. In person, she might ask you a small, thoughtful question about yourself and be an incredibly attentive listener, remembering tiny details you mentioned weeks later. Fourth, the friend factor. Pay close attention to how she acts when you're with her friends. If she likes you but is hiding it, she might become more reserved when her friends are around, not less. She doesn't want to be teased or give anything away. But here's the kicker. Watch her friends. Often they know. They might look at you, then at her, and share a smile. They might be unusually nice to you, or try to include you in the conversation. They've heard about you, and they're doing a little reconnaissance of their own. Fifth, the mixed messages. This is the most confusing one, but it's a huge tell. She's hot and cold because she's at war with herself. One day she's engaging and warm, the attraction is winning. The next day, she's a bit distant and professional, the caution is winning. This inconsistency isn't stat a game, it's stats a internal battle between I really like him and I really don't want to get hurt or look foolish. Pause for effect. So, why? Why the secrecy? The female psychology behind this is often about risk mitigation. Historically and socially, women have often been conditioned to be the recipients of pursuit, not the initiators. Overtly showing interest can feel vulnerable. It opens them up to potential rejection or being perceived in a way they don't want to be. So they send these subtle signals, these secret tests, to see if you will pick up on them and take the next step. It's a way of gauging your interest without putting their entire heart on the line. Now, a crucial word of caution. Reading these signs is not an exact science. Context is everything. Is she just a friendly person? Is this just how she acts with everyone? The key is to look for patterns. One glance away means nothing. But if you see a consistent pattern of these subtle behaviors, the looks, the proximity, the micro-engagements, then you likely have your answer. The goal isn't to become a mind reader or to overanalyze every single gesture. It's to become more emotionally intelligent, to understand the quiet language of attraction that exists beneath the words. So, the next time you get that feeling, take a breath, observe, look for the patterns, and if you see them, have the confidence to take the next step. Start a conversation, ask her a meaningful question, and see if that casual act starts to fade away, revealing the genuine interest that was there all along. Thank you. The most profound human communications are rarely broadcasted through a megaphone. True connection, especially in its nascent, vulnerable stages, thrives in the quiet corners of interaction, in the space between words. This is the domain of the subtle cue, the unspoken language of attraction that a woman consciously or unconsciously employs when her interest is piqued, but her caution is high. To believe that attraction will arrive with the fanfare of a declaration or the obviousness of a cliché is to misunderstand its very nature. Instead, it whispers. It reveals itself in patterns of behavior, in micro-expressions that flash across the face for a fraction of a second, in the nuanced choreography of body language. Becoming fluent in this language requires a shift in perspective from listening for what is said to observing what is done. This art of observation is not about paranoid scrutiny or assigning meaning to every random gesture. It is, rather, about cultivating a calm, present awareness. It's the difference between watching a play from the back row, where you only hear the loudest lines, and sitting in the front, where you can see the slight tremor of a hand, the quick intake of breath, the fleeting look of anticipation before a line is delivered. A woman trying to conceal her interest is both the actor and the director of this subtle performance, and her script is written in a code of small, repeatable actions. The key to deciphering it is to look for consistency, for a pattern that emerges across different times and settings. A single glance could be coincidence. A dozen curated over a week become a pattern. A casual question once is just friendliness. The same level of engaged questioning, paired with remembered details from previous conversations, becomes a signal. Consider the environment of a crowded social gathering. The obvious signs of interest might be easy to spot. Someone who comes directly over, engages in prolonged, intense conversation, and makes their focus undeniably clear. But the concealed interest operates differently. You might notice her from across the room, and though she is deeply engaged in a conversation with a friend, her body orientation is a telltale clue. Our feet and torsos often point toward what or who we truly want to be near. Even while laughing at someone else's joke, her hips might be subtly angled in your direction, a silent beacon of alignment. She is not vying for your attention. She is positioning herself within your orbit, making her presence known without demanding it. This extends to the realm of conversation itself. When she does speak to you, the content might be deliberately casual, a comment on the music, the food, a work project, but the quality of her listening will betray her. She is not just hearing your words, she is absorbing them. You will notice a lack of distraction. Her phone remains unseen. Her eyes don't scout the room over your shoulder for someone more interesting. She offers the modern world's rarest commodity, her full, undivided attention. This focused engagement is a silent compliment of the highest order. It says, "In this moment, nothing is more important than this interaction with you." She may even mirror your body language subconsciously, leaning in when you lean in, taking a sip of her drink after you take yours, a classic sign of rapport and alignment that is incredibly difficult to fake. Furthermore, this subtlety manifests in what she remembers. Days or even weeks later, she might reference an offhand remark you made about your favorite author, a childhood pet, or a project you were nervous about. This demonstration of memory is a powerful signal. It proves that the initial interaction, which she played so cool, was significant enough to be mentally catalogued and retained. Her mind has been working on you long after the conversation ended. She is showing you, without stating it, that you occupy space in her thoughts. This tapestry of subtle cues, the conscious positioning, the quality of listening, the demonstration of memory, weaves together to form a coherent narrative of interest. It is a narrative told not in bold declarations, but in a quiet, consistent, and beautifully understated language that waits to be understood by someone perceptive enough to read it. Of all the instruments in the silent orchestra of attraction, the eyes are the soloists. They perform a concerto of revelation and concealment, often betraying truths the mouth has been disciplined to hide. When a woman feels a spark of interest, but is determined to smother its visible flame, her eyes become the primary battlefield where this internal conflict is waged. They flicker with a truth she is not yet ready to voice, offering fleeting, unguarded moments that stand in stark contrast to her otherwise composed demeanor. To understand this language is to look beyond mere eye contact. It is to decipher the nuance of its timing, its duration, and the subtle dance of where her gaze travels before it finds and quickly abandons its target. The most common movement in this dance is the look and dart. You will feel it before you truly see it, a faint pressure of being observed. You glance up from your phone or across a room and catch her eyes directly on you. But instead of holding the connection with a smile or a nod of acknowledgement, she instantly pivots away, as if your sudden awareness has physically startled her. Her gaze might snap toward a friend with sudden feigned intensity, or she might suddenly become profoundly interested in a bookshelf, a painting, or the contents of her glass. The speed of the disengagement is the tell. It is not the calm, slow look away of someone whose attention has simply moved on. It is a reflexive, almost guilty retreat. It is the behavior of someone who was engrossed in the act of observing and was caught in the act. This isn't a game. It's a moment of pure, unvarnished vulnerability. She offered a silent confession with her eyes, and then, upon being discovered, swiftly retracted it, hoping the motion was too fast to be fully registered. Then there is the more tender, and perhaps more telling, gesture, the lowered gaze. This often occurs in closer proximity, within the bubble of a direct conversation. You might offer her a compliment, or say something that genuinely resonates, and instead of meeting your eyes directly, her response is to smile, perhaps blush, and cast her eyes downward. This is a powerful, ancient nonverbal cue. In the language of the body, looking down and away is a signal of submission, vulnerability, and receptivity. By breaking eye contact in this soft, downward motion, she is unconsciously communicating that she is touched by your attention, and perhaps a little overwhelmed by it. It is a defensive gesture, but not one of fear. Rather, it is a shield for a sudden surge of self-consciousness or pleasant surprise. It allows her a moment to collect herself, to reassume the composed mask, all while silently acknowledging the positive impact of your words. This downward glance is one of the most universally recognized signs of shy affection, a silent echo of feeling that is incredibly difficult to manufacture artificially. Beyond these specific maneuvers, the very nature of her eye contact changes. In a group setting, her gaze will travel a distinct circuit, moving from person to person, but always returning to you, using you as her anchor point. Even if she doesn't speak to you directly, her eyes will consistently check in, seeking your reaction to a story, your opinion on a topic, your mere presence. And when you do speak, watch her face. True, engaged interest often causes the pupils to dilate, a physiological response to something we find pleasurable or captivating, that is entirely beyond conscious control. While it can be subtle and is highly dependent on lighting, that sparkle in someone's eyes is often a real phenomenon, a wider, darker, more absorbing gaze that pulls you in. This is the unconscious body overriding the conscious mind. She may be trying to listen neutrally, but her biology is signaling a deeper engagement. Learning to read this silent concert, the guilty dart, the vulnerable lowering, the anchoring check-in, the telltale dilation, is to understand the unspoken prologue to a story she may not yet be ready to read aloud. The human body is a truth teller, even when the mind is a master of deception. In the delicate negotiation of concealed attraction, a woman's conscious mind may be issuing strict commands to appear aloof, disinterested, and entirely casual. Yet, her physical form, governed by a deeper, more primal instinct, will often disobey these orders. It will begin a silent campaign of proximity, crafting opportunities to share space and atmosphere in a way that feels like happenstance, but is, in reality, the quiet work of gravitational pull. This is not the grand gesture of sitting directly beside you, which demands an explanation. It is the art of lingering on the periphery, of occupying the same sunlight, of ensuring that she is a consistent, albeit seemingly accidental, feature in your landscape. This principle of proximity operates on a subconscious level, a relic of our ancient past, where closeness equated to safety and connection. We are drawn, literally, to what we find pleasing, comforting, or intriguing. In a modern context, this manifests in a series of calculated coincidences that are anything but. You might notice her choosing the seat diagonally across from you at a meeting table, a position that allows for easy, low-pressure eye contact without the intensity of sitting directly opposite. In a social setting, she will not necessarily be the one to initiate a conversation, but you will find her consistently within your conversational sphere, perhaps listening to your group's discussion from a step away, or perusing the bookshelf immediately adjacent to where you are standing. She is making herself available, creating the conditions for an interaction to occur naturally, without ever having to force it. She is setting the stage, then waiting in the wings, hoping you will invite her into the scene. The behavior extends beyond static positioning into subtle movement. There is the drift. At a party or a networking event, you might observe her path through the room seem to orbit your location. She moves from one group to another, but her trajectory is never a straight line away. It is a slow, meandering arc that keeps her within a certain radius of you. It is the social equivalent of a moon in a gentle gravitational pull, its orbit defined by the planet it circles. Furthermore, watch for the linger. A conversation between the two of you concludes. The natural next step is to part ways and mingle with others. Yet, she does not immediately disengage. She might pause for an extra moment, finish her drink slowly, or ask one final, inconsequential question that serves no other purpose than to extend the shared moment by a few more precious seconds. This lingering is the body resisting the command to walk away, a physical manifestation of a desire for the connection to continue. This stance of proximity is also evident in the realm of touch, or more accurately, the near touch. This is the realm of the almost brush, the micro-intimacy that tests the waters of physical connection without committing to it. She might reach for an object close to your hand, bringing her arm within a hair's breadth of yours. In laughter, she might lean her shoulder toward you, almost making contact before pulling back. While walking through a crowd, her hand might gently guide you by the elbow for a split second longer than is strictly necessary. These near misses are conscious calculations that mimic unconscious intimacy. They are a way to introduce the idea of physical connection, to see how you react to her invasion of your personal space, and to communicate interest in a way that is so deniable it can be passed off as mere circumstance. It is her body's way of whispering a question. It is too afraid to speak aloud. What would happen if we were closer? By paying attention to this silent geography of attraction, the orbits, the lingers, the almost touches, you begin to see the outline of a desire that is being carefully, quietly, and physically drawn around you. In an age of constant, deafening digital noise, the most telling signals of interest are often the quietest. When a woman is intrigued but determined to maintain a facade of nonchalance, she will not send a grand, revealing text or make a bold declaration. Instead, she becomes a master of the micro-engagement, small, low-stakes, and seemingly casual interactions designed to create a thread of connection, so fine it's almost invisible, yet strong enough to pull on when the time is right. This is the strategy of the gentle poke, not the dramatic knock. It is a way of keeping her name flickering across your screen and in the periphery of your mind without ever demanding a full conversation or revealing the depth of her curiosity. The digital landscape is her primary playground for this subtle art. The modern equivalent of a shy glance across a crowded room is the delayed reaction to an old social media story. You posted a photo of a hike 3 days ago, and suddenly, a heart emoji appears beneath it. The timing is deliberate. It is too late to be an immediate notification of interest, yet its arrival is a quiet, persistent beacon. It says, "I am scrolling through your past. I am consuming content you forgot you posted. You are taking up space in my idle time." Similarly, the sharing of a meme or a reel, especially one that ties back to an obscure joke or a shared experience, is a potent tool. It requires zero emotional vulnerability to send. It can be dismissed as "this made me laugh, and I'm broadcasting it to many." But its true purpose is to serve as a token, a tangible piece of digital evidence that says, "I saw this, and it reminded me of you. I am thinking about the conversations we have." It is an invitation disguised as a broadcast, a door left slightly ajar for you to walk through if you choose. But this strategy of micro-engagement extends far beyond the screen into the physical world of low-pressure interaction. She is an expert at crafting opportunities for contact that are so brief and task-oriented, they carry no risk of rejection. The question about a work assignment, asked at 4:45 p.m., when it could have easily been an email sent the next morning, is a classic maneuver. Its stated purpose is logistical. Its true purpose is to create a moment of connection at the end of the day, to be the final voice you hear before you leave the office. The forgotten item borrowed, a book, a charger, a pen, is not a sign of forgetfulness, but of brilliant strategy. It necessitates a future, guaranteed interaction, the return. It creates a gentle obligation and a natural reason to reconnect, effectively writing the opening lines of your next conversation for you. The true genius of these micro-engagements, however, lies not in their occurrence, but in their follow-through. The woman who is genuinely interested, yet hiding it, will be a virtuoso of the callback. Weeks after a trivial chat about your favorite coffee order, she might mention a new cafe that serves that exact blend. Months after you briefly mentioned a childhood fear of thunderstorms, she might see a forecast and offer a gentle, teasing word of caution. This demonstration of memory is the most powerful signal of all. It transforms a micro-engagement from a moment of polite conversation into a sustained act of curation. It proves that these small, seemingly insignificant interactions were not small or insignificant to her. They were data points collected, filed away, and integrated into her understanding of you. This sustained attentive recall is the quiet, undeniable proof that behind the curtain of casualness, a genuine and focused interest is being paid. It is the difference between someone who simply hears you and someone who is truly quietly listening. In the intricate theater of concealed attraction, while the lead actress may be delivering a masterful performance of indifference, one must never underestimate the chorus. Her friends are rarely mere bystanders. They are the stagehands, the confidants, and often the unintentional understudies who reveal the script she is trying so hard to keep hidden. Their behavior towards you becomes a crucial cipher, a reflection of private conversations and sealed verdicts that you are not privy to. When a woman is trying to hide her interest, she may school her own expressions and words into a mask of neutrality, but she cannot control the knowing glances, the heightened curiosity, or the unwarranted kindness of her inner circle. To read them is to gain access to the backstage chatter of her heart. The most telling sign is the look. It is a fleeting, silent exchange that passes between her friends the moment you enter a room or approach their group. You will catch them. A quick, sharp glance shot from one friend to another, a raised eyebrow, a suppressed smile that is instantly masked by a sip of a drink. This is the non-verbal telegraph of recognition. It is the unmistakable signal that you have been discussed, often at length. You are not just another face in the crowd. You are the one she mentioned. That shared look is the silent acknowledgement of a shared secret. And in that split second, you have been identified and assessed against a pre-established profile. They are comparing the real you to the version that lives in their private messages, and their reaction in that unguarded moment is often a purer indicator than anything the woman herself will ever show you. Beyond the glance, there is a shift in their general demeanor towards you. If you have interacted with them before, you may notice a new layer of warmth, a deliberate and sometimes slightly forced effort to be inclusive and engaging. They might suddenly pull you into their conversation with an, "Oh, your name, you'd appreciate this," or ask you questions that seem designed to showcase your humor or intelligence to their friend. This is not random friendliness. It is a tactical maneuver. They are acting as her proxies, facilitating the interaction she desires, but is too cautious to initiate herself. They are subtly vouching for you, building a bridge of social proof, and trying to create the very conditions in which her guarded nature might feel safe enough to relax. Their kindness is a beacon, illuminating a path they are hoping you will take. Perhaps the most direct form of intelligence gathering is the interrogation. This is where a friend, often the most bold or protective of the group, will casually detach from the herd and engage you in a one-on-one conversation that feels just a little too pointed. The questions will be friendly, but probing, veering away from small talk and into character assessment. So, what are you looking for these days? Do you like living around here? What did you think of the party last weekend? These are not the questions of someone making idle chatter. They are the questions of a scout on a reconnaissance mission. She is gathering data to report back, assessing your intentions, your availability, and your general compatibility. Her tone might be light, but her eyes are analytical. She is vetting you on behalf of her friend, a clear sign that you have been deemed important enough to warrant a formal, albeit unofficial, background check. In essence, her friends become an external nervous system for her internal emotions. They feel out the environment on her behalf. They communicate the unspoken, and they react in ways she has trained herself not to. Their collective behavior, the knowing looks, the strategic inclusivity, the gentle vetting, forms a chorus of confirmation. While she may be playing her part with Oscar-worthy restraint, the supporting cast often forgets their lines, revealing the true plot of the story unfolding just beneath the surface. To ignore them is to ignore the most reliable subtitles to the entire production. Beneath the surface of every lingering glance, every carefully crafted micro-engagement, and every calculated moment of proximity lies a fundamental human impulse that is often mistaken for game playing, the profound and powerful instinct for self-preservation. To interpret these subtle signals as mere coyness or a strategic ploy is to misunderstand the deep psychological currents at work. The art of concealing interest is not a manipulative dance. It is a defensive posture. It is a strategy of risk mitigation, honed by social conditioning, personal history, and the simple, terrifying fear of emotional harm. Her behavior is not a test designed to frustrate you, but a shield designed to protect her. Historically and socially, the script of courtship, for better or worse, has often placed women in a reactive role. While societal norms are rapidly evolving, the residual echoes of these expectations can still subconsciously influence behavior. To be overtly forward has, for generations, carried a social risk, the risk of being perceived as too eager, desperate, or of violating unspoken social codes. This cultural inheritance, even if consciously rejected, can create an internal friction, a voice of caution that advises against making the first move. Instead, the safer, more socially sanctioned path has been to send signals, to become adept at displaying availability and interest in ways that are deniable, ways that allow for a graceful retreat should the interest not be reciprocated. It is a way of testing the waters without the risk of diving headfirst into empty space. But beyond broad social patterns lies the far more potent force of individual vulnerability. To openly express interest is to make oneself profoundly vulnerable. It is to hand another person the power to reject, dismiss, or worse, pity you. That moment of confession is a moment of incredible exposure, and the potential for pain is very real. Therefore, these subtle signs are the advanced scouts sent out before the main army is committed. They are low-risk probes, designed to gauge the enemy's position. Is he engaging with her subtle cues? Is he reciprocating the energy? Is he picking up on the threads she is laying down and weaving them into a connection? His response to these quiet signals provides her with crucial intelligence. If he seems receptive, the wall of caution may begin to lower. If he seems oblivious or indifferent, she can retreat without ever having truly advanced. Her heart remains intact, her dignity preserved. She can tell herself, and anyone else, that she was never really that interested in the first place. This is ultimately a process of building trust incrementally. She is not withholding her interest to be mysterious. She is doling it out in small, manageable doses to see what you do with it. Each micro-signal is a token of trust. When you remember a small detail she shared weeks ago, you demonstrate that you are paying attention, that you are a safe repository for her words. When you reciprocate by moving into her orbit or initiating a low-stakes digital engagement of your own, you signal that you are willing to meet her halfway, that you are attuned to her frequency. This slow reciprocal dance allows her to build a case for your empathy and emotional intelligence. It proves that you are someone who notices the quiet things, someone who might be careful with her feelings should she choose to eventually hand them over in a more significant way. Therefore, this entire complex language of hidden signs is not a puzzle for you to solve for your own gratification. It is, in its essence, a quiet and cautious negotiation of trust. It is her way of asking, with increasing levels of clarity, the most important question of all. Are you a safe place for me to land? Her seemingly cryptic behavior is not a wall designed to keep you out, but a series of gates, each with a latch on her side. Your patience, your perception, and your respectful reciprocity are the only things that will encourage her to open them, one by one, until you are finally let in.